Yo, what's up guys? My name is JT and I want to wish you guys a happy Halloween. So this video is the Halloween special and I want to build a cemetery and put it on the layout. So the last few layouts that I've built, I've been putting on a cemetery and I think they're kind of neat. So that's what I'm going to do on this video, so stay tuned. So this is the corner of the layout where I want to install the cemetery, and I think there's plenty of room for a road and the tombstones. I think it'll be a really cool scene. As you recall, this is where the Digitrax system and the DC power pack used to be, along with the power pack. Now I made a really cool shelf for those and I think it looks really neat. Let's check it out. So this is the shelf that I made and I think it came out really good. So this is a floating shelf and I found out how to make this on YouTube, and you know, there's some nice wood that they used on their shelf and it looked really cool and everything, but I just went out to my shop. I found some scrap pieces of wood that I actually built this layout with. So I found some plywood. It's up on the top and up on the bottom. And I found some 2x4s. It was said to use some 1x2s. So I just ripped these in half with my table saw and I made them into like 2 by something, I don't know, anyway, but that's how I made this. It's really cool. It has plenty of room. As you can see, there's a program track and then there's the 2 power packs, and then there's a small little area there that I can keep my smoke fluid. So I'm going to take the camera off the tripod so I can show you guys this shelf a little bit better. So here's a shelf and it looks really good. So it measures in at 9 inches deep and is 20 inches wide. It's really nice. It's perfectly sized. I have the Digitrax system there, the DC power pack, and the program track. It's all ready to go to run a train as I'm doing right now, and that thing looks really good there. So it's all rewired and redone. I was using speaker wire, which is all I had at the time, but it did the job. But I rewired it and it looks really good. I like it a lot. So as I told you all before, this is a floating shelf. So let me show you guys down here. There is no bracket, and you're probably wondering, what kind of witchcraft is this? But you know, it's just the way the shelf is made. I will actually post the video in the comments down below to show you guys how to make one of these. Some guy does a really good tutorial, and I learned how to do this in about 5 minutes, and here it is, all made up. All it is one of these 1x2s or whatever width they are. It's screwed into the benchwork there, and then this just slides over it. And then I put a few screws on top. Alright guys, so let's get started. So here are the items that I'm going to use for the cemetery scene. The first thing is the Woodland Cynic Static King. I've never used one of those before. This thing is brand spanking new, and I've never applied static grass. So let's see how this turns out. So the next thing is the Scenery Express Fine Natural Soil and Dirt. I've never used that product before either. It was intended for another scene on the layout which got scrapped, so I did not use it, so we'll be using that for the first time. The next thing is the Static Grass from Woodland Cynics. That is 2mm and it is the medium green color. The next thing is the Mod Podge. That is my favorite matte medium to apply scenery. And then the next one is a power supply for the Static King. I was told that's the best thing to use instead of using just the batteries. The next thing is those tombstones. Those are from Woodland Cynics as well. Those are 20 piece. And I have another like 13 sitting underneath the layout or something. So, but if I need more, I'll just order some more. The next item is the horse-drawn hearse, and that is from Nock. I got that a few years ago for Christmas, and I've used it once on my old layout, but I just have it here just to show you guys because I'm gonna, like, you know, change out the scenes back and forth just to see what looks good and just to change it up a little bit. The next thing is the funeral scene, the characters from Woodland Cynics. I didn't know this was supposed to be sort of like a joke, but it turns out that I guess there's somebody's trying to get out of the coffin, and the guy on the far bottom is trying to hold down the lid, and then the guy with the shovel, the gravedigger, is like pointing over to it to show them, hey, like, that guy's coming out of that coffin. I had no idea it was a whole joke. I don't know. It was kind of funny. I read the description about this and I was like, oh yeah, I didn't know it was a joke. Anyway, that little wheelbarrow did not come with that scene. I don't know where the heck that wheelbarrow came from, but it's here. The next one is the black Cadillac hearse. That is a Hot Wheels hearse. I have been looking for this for so long. every time I looked at it, it's like 40 bucks to 50 bucks. I found this for $15.99, free shipping. Can you believe it? But this is a really nice hearse, very well detailed. I really like the glass that's inside because it's kind of like green. Looks really cool. So let's take all this to the layout room and get this done. So here's an addition that I'm going to add to the scene. This came in a little earlier than expected, which was nice because I didn't think this was going to make it for this video, but this came from eBay. So this is a prizer set. It has some people from the church and also some grieving people. This also comes with some wreaths and a casket that I'm not going to use because I already have one for the layout. So in the background you can see those 4 tripods. I'm going to paint those green and I'm going to hang the wreaths on them. I made those tripods from scratch. I made them from styrene, and I'm just going to paint them up, and I think that'll look pretty good. So let's take this over the layout. So this is another addition that I'm going to add to the scene. So this is an HO scale ERTL backhoe. I got this from eBay. This is a very nice little model. It's got a ton of detail and a ton of moving parts. My favorite moving parts are the outriggers or the stabilizers because it actually shows that the backhoe is operating and actually working. It doesn't seem like it's just stationary. So I really think that this is going to add a lot of depth to the scene, and that is because most commercial modern day cemeteries use backhoes and not a shovel and a wheelbarrow. So I think this will, create more realism and make it look better on the scene. So let's take this over the layout and see how it looks. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. What I've done is I've added 2 pieces of foam. The bottom one is a 2-inch and then the next one is a 1.5. The reason I went with a 1.5 is because I want the roadbed to kind of slope down from where the track is down to where the highway is. So I think that'll look pretty cool. It'll give it a little bit more definition and a little more character. So over here I'm gonna put a station there, so that's why you can see that the foam or the riser isn't cut there. So that's where the station is going to be. So it's going to be at track level there. So what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to start laying down the paving tape for the Whitland Scenic Smooth It. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll be back when the road is done. Okay guys, so this is what I have so far, and it is looking freaking good. So I have the road installed. It's all sanded and ready for paint. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to paint this road and add the lines. I also have to install curbing, and I'm going to do it from that area over here all the way down to this side over here. I think that's going to look pretty good with the curb here. Now, as you can see here, I have installed a small pullout for the hearse and a couple of vehicles. That is the cemetery parking. And over here are going to be the tombstones and everything there. And it's going to be built up on some sort of a hill about 1 inch higher, or maybe about a 1/2 inch higher. I just want the cemetery to be on a hillside, just give it a little more character and, just make it look a little bit better. As you can see on this side, I installed the slope from the roadbed down to the ground level. So I'll be back with some stuff completed. So I just wanted to show you guys that nothing ever comes out perfect the first time. This is the first time that the paint did not stick to the plaster or the Smooth It. It literally is just peeling up. So I decided to get this putty knife and just scrape it up. Luckily the road's fine. It didn't have any damage. It's just that the paint decided to come up on me when I was installing the curbs, which is really odd. But anyway, I just want to show you guys that, stuff like this happens and you got to redo it. So I'm going to look for an alternative way to paint this road, and hopefully it comes out well. I'm thinking maybe something along the lines of how I do rocks, just a little bit of like a wash or something. We'll see how that turns out. So it's coming out really good, even though the paint came up. I really like the way those curbs are coming out. As you can see, they look real nice there. When it's going to be all painted up, it's going to look good. But the hillside where the cemetery is going to go is looking extra nice. As you can see, I actually put some screws in there. I'm really impatient, so I glued it down with some white glue, and I just stuck some screws in there instead of putting some weight on top, so that should keep it down while it's drying. So I'm going to paint it up right now, so let's see how that comes out. Alrighty guys, so here it is with the road all done up and looking pretty good. The road came out a lot lighter than I would have wanted it to, but you know what? The easy fix for that is weathering powders. So I'm going to hit the road with some weathering powders. I got the lines put in, and I have just been having the worst luck with this road. I tell you what, it's like it's cursed. It's because it's the Halloween special. That's why this is cursed. Now, what's going on is that the paint pens that I use are from Sharpie and they're oil based, and I never have issues with them. I did this other road to the left for the town, came out beautiful. Now this one is a different story. The lines, the yellow lines came out kind of strange. They're like dark, just really weird. And then the white lines just are almost non-apparent. You kind of have to look at it from a certain way to see them. So I'm hoping that maybe with the weathering that they'll pop out a little bit better, since the road will be a little bit darker. Now the road appears a little bit lighter on the camera than it really is in real life. But so far, this is looking exceptional. I love the way the hearse looks there with those two vehicles and that semi-truck coming down the road there. And when this is all sceniced up, it's going to look good. So the next update is either going to be with the road weathered or with the ground cover on. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to weather it first. So stay tuned for the next clip. So I was able to save the road. It looks much better now. I added some cracks in the road and also some oil marks, and then I weathered it. I think it came out really good. With the weathering, you can actually see the lines on the road and they're not just kind of like ghosted, and I think it came out pretty nice. It's a little darker on film than it is in person. It seems pretty dark on here. It's a lot lighter than it is. It looks really good and realistic. I'll go ahead and take this off the tripod so I can show you guys how this looks. So check it out. Here's an aerial view of the road. I think it actually looks pretty good. I'm really happy with the outcome because I was getting ready to just completely repaint it. If I'll move a couple of vehicles here so you can see underneath, I put some oil spots. There's some underneath the hearse too. So I'm gonna paint up all of the ground cover and we're gonna put some dirt on, and then I'll put some static grass. All right, so check it out. This is all ready to go for some static grass. So on the left, I have some sand with some rocks and talus and a bunch of other stuff. And on the right is the Scenery Express fine dirt and soil, and that's all dry. Maybe it's not exactly all completely dry. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I just can't tell because there's some darker areas, but it's ready to go for some static grass. So that's what I'm going to do next. So I'll be back when that's all finished up. Okay, so we're almost to the finish. The grass is looking really, really good. Almost too good. And the reason I say that is because in contrast with the scenery to the left of the highway, it just looks a little strange to me. And the only reason that is because, you know, I grew up in the desert. I'm not used to seeing so much green next to desert scenes. Like my mom's house has a ton of grass and it's beautiful and everything, but it's not in quite the desert. It's like in a valley. You know, here it's desert to the left and then beautiful grass on the right. But you know what? That's okay, because there are plenty of cemeteries in New Mexico that have phenomenal looking grass. In Santa Fe, there is a cemetery there that looks great. There's also a cemetery in Albuquerque, and there's maybe a couple of them that their grass looks just impeccable. And this, you know, closely follows that. So overall, it looks absolutely amazing. It just looks a little strange to me. But anyway, so I wanted to point out the grass color. So originally I'd used the medium green 2mm static grass from Woodland Scenics. When I put that in, it just seems a little too dark to me. And what I decided to do is I airbrushed the entire area with, or not the entire area, but you know, a few parts of the grass with flat earth from Vallejo. And I really like the variation that it gave. You can kind of see it in the video. There's a little bit of brown areas and stuff. And I did that to create, you know, something of a burnt grass. Then I still didn't care for the color too much. So then I went back with some more Vallejo, but I used dark sand. And that absolutely just brought this grass to life. It looks just absolutely amazing. As you can see that there's a small trail that goes from where that Trans Am is to the top of the hill. I put that in. The dirt that I used from Scenery Express looked good, although it just seemed a little too dark to me. And I wanted to create like a small trail that was being used often. So what I did was I got a small sanding block and I sanded down that area, and it gave it that nice little dusty look that you can see on the video there. So overall, I'm really happy with this. It's coming out really good. So the next process, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and start installing all the little details along with the tombstone. So I'm going to put in some road signs, I'm going to put in the people and the funeral scene. And I think it's going to come out really good. So stay tuned and let's check it out. So I wanted to show you guys what I did here. So I got an X-Acto knife and I cut a hole into the foam, and then I mixed some dirt with some Mod Podge and some alcohol, and I painted it in there. It's still really wet now, so when it dries it'll look pretty good. It'll look like fresh dirt, and the coffin's going to go right over it and it's going to look pretty cool. So the scene is really coming together and it's looking pretty good. I have all the tombstones installed. They are all evenly spaced. They are 1 centimeter apart from each other, and also from front to back they are 4 centimeters. So I tried to do it as good as I could. So I have a couple of people sitting over there. They're not glued in just yet. I just had them there just to see kind of how they're looking, and I'm starting to really like the way they look. So I'm going to install all the other people and those reeds and stuff to see how it turns out. So let's do it. Alrighty guys, so this scene is pretty much complete, just shy of a few details, but I think it came out incredible. I really am happy with the way it came out. It took some time to get this done. It took about 24 hours over the course of a week to get this done due to planning, trial and error, and to make sure everything was done correctly. So as you can see, I added a few details since the last clip. First off, if you look at the right side of the road, I put in some road signs there. I also added the backhoe with the guy in front of it. I like the way the backhoe looks there. It's right on the side of the hill. And I also ballasted the track. And it's not weathered yet, so it's not perfect. But on the middle upper part of the screen, you can see that the funeral is already done. So let's take a closer look. Okay, so here's the funeral scene, and it looks really good. I used all of the figures from both the Prizer and the Woodland Scenic set, and I think it looks pretty realistic. As you can see, the reeds are in the background on the tripods, and they look pretty good. I know those tripods look a little thick, but I was going to use wire and solder them together. I just didn't want the headache of the possibility of the solder not soldering to the wire, and then it would fall apart, and then it would irritate me, and I wouldn't have wanted to do it. So that's why I use the styrene. It looks good to me and I like it. So I wanted to mention that this entire funeral scene and cemetery is all inspired from the movie Beetlejuice. I was obsessed with that movie when I was a kid. I thought it was the coolest thing that he had that model, and I just wanted to make a model like that ever since when I saw the movie. So that's why I have this funeral set, because on the movie you can see that they have a funeral for both of them and have a bunch of characters detail along with the reeds. So that's why I did this, and I think it looks really cool. So I have the backhoe sitting there with the guy standing on the bucket. Now I really didn't care for the idea of the Woodland Scenics, you know, the guy trying to get out of the coffin and the guy leaning against the coffin. I just thought it kind of, I don't know, didn't really care for it. So that's why I put him over there leaning against the bucket, just waiting for the funeral to be done so he can dump all that dirt back in there. So I'll pan over to the ballasted area. So the ballast came out really good as well. So I put in some static grass over there, and I completed the scenery up to the highway, and I really liked the way it came out. I used an airbrush to make variations in color with the static grass, and I think it came out pretty good. I have this tanker truck that I got here. I ordered that recently and that came in. I like the way it looks right there. As you can see, all the ballast is all done and looking pretty good. Alrighty guys, so that's pretty much it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this scene start from bare extruded foam to a complete scene. I know I didn't show you guys how to do everything, but I do have scenery videos. As you can refer to my channel, you can find the concrete scene. It is a work in progress still, but it shows you how to do scenery. So if you have any questions at all, please put in a comment down below or send me an email. I'm always happy to answer questions and always happy to answer emails. So that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later. Take care and have a happy Halloween, and keep it to the rails.